Ladies and gentlemen, if you understood how powerful your words are, you would never speak another negative sentence to yourself again. You see, most people speak to themselves based on who they were, not who they're becoming. They rehearse the same story day after day. I'm not enough. I always fail. It's too late for me. And then they wonder why nothing changes. But your body listens. Your mind listens. Your energy field responds. The thoughts and emotions you consistently repeat become memorized by your nervous system. And over time, you don't just think them, you become them. But what if for just 14 days you flipped that script? What if you spoke to yourself like the version of you who's already healed, already successful, already free? What if you trained your mind to fire new thoughts that create a new emotional signature? Because when you change your inner dialogue, you begin to change your identity. And your identity is what drives your destiny. So for 14 days, speak to yourself like this. I am not my past. I am not my pain. Nah, I am the creator of something new. Say it with presence. Say it like you believe it. Because repetition rewires. Emotion imprints. Each morning before you check the outside world, check in with the inner one. Tell yourself my future is not a continuation of my past unless I choose to carry it forward. And then feel it. Feel what it would be like to wake up already free, already whole. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. If you can feel it now, you're rehearsing a future ahead of its time. Throughout your day, catch the old voice creeping in, the one that says, I can't, I'm stuck, it's too hard, and interrupt it. Replace it. Speak to yourself like you are powerful, capable, limitless, because you are. The only reason you don't see it yet is because you've been practicing the opposite story for too long. At night, before sleep, whisper this. I'm proud of who I'm becoming. I'm learning to trust the unknown. My future is calling, and I am ready. Let that be the final signal your subconscious receives before it begins its work through the night. Do this for 14 days, and don't do it casually. Speak with conviction, with energy, with intention. You are not just affirming. You are reconditioning your entire being. You're teaching your body to believe in a future it hasn't lived yet. And once it believes, it begins to act as if it's already there. That's when the shift happens. That's when the outside world starts to match the new internal one you've been building. Repetition is the mechanism through which your brain and body learn, memorize, and automate new patterns. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every behavior you repeat becomes wired into your neural architecture. The brain does not distinguish between what is helpful and what is harmful. It simply records what is repeated. Most people unknowingly reinforce the same thoughts and emotions day after day, creating deeply rooted patterns that define their personality and experiences. If you wake up and think the same thoughts, feel the same emotions, and perform the same actions, you're conditioning your body to stay exactly where it is, no matter how badly you want change. Repetition makes those patterns familiar, and the familiar becomes your comfort zone, even if it's not where you want to be. But repetition can also become your greatest tool for transformation. When you begin to repeat new thoughts that align with who you want to become and pair them with elevated emotions, gratitude, joy, empowerment, you start to lay down new neural pathways. You are literally installing a new mind. And the body, which has been conditioned through the past to feel a certain way, begins to respond to the new signals it receives. The more you practice, the more you shift from effort to embodiment. What once felt unfamiliar, confidence, peace, abundance, starts to feel natural. The unfamiliar becomes familiar because you've rehearsed it with consistency. The key is emotional engagement. Repetition without feeling is like trying to ignite a fire with wet wood. But when you speak words with presence, when you think thoughts that make your heart respond, when you visualize and actually feel the outcome as real, you accelerate the imprint on your nervous system. You move from knowing something intellectually to embodying it biologically. And the body starts to believe that the future you've been imagining is already here. Through repetition, you are no longer waiting for the change to happen. You are becoming the change. And as you reinforce this identity over and over again, the external world will begin to mirror back the internal world you've designed with intention and energy. Identity is not fixed. It is fluid. And it is shaped by your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and the stories you repeat to yourself every single day. Most people live their entire lives believing that their identity is something they inherited or something defined by their past. They wear labels given to them by parents, teachers, society, or painful experiences, and they carry those labels into their present and future. But your true identity is not a product of your history. It is a product of your awareness. When you become conscious of who you've been unconsciously being, you gain the power to choose who you want to become. And that choice begins in the mind. Every time you say I am, you are placing a command into your subconscious. The brain takes it as instruction. If you've been saying I am anxious, I am broken, I am not enough, your biology begins to align with those declarations. Your nervous system memorizes those patterns and reinforces them through your emotions and behaviors. But the same principle applies when you begin to declare a new identity. When you begin to say, I am confident, I am powerful, I am healing, you start to rewire your internal reality. The key is not just to say it, but to feel it as if it's true right now. Your identity is built through repetition and emotional engagement. The more often you show up as the version of you that already has what you desire, the more you embody that energy. You begin to fire and wire new neural connections that reinforce the identity of your future self. Your body, which is the unconscious mind, starts to recognize the new state as familiar. It starts to believe in the possibility of change. And the moment you begin to live and act from this elevated identity, even before the evidence shows up, you collapse the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Identity is not something to find. It's something to build moment by moment, thought by thought, action by action. You step into your future not by chasing it, but by becoming it first in your internal world. The subconscious mind is the operating system running in the background of your life. It stores your beliefs, habits, emotional reactions, and behavioral patterns, most of which were programmed during childhood. While your conscious mind might have goals, dreams, and desires, it is your subconscious that determines how much of that you allow yourself to experience. If there is a conflict between your conscious intentions and your subconscious programming, the subconscious will win every time because it operates 95% of your waking life. This is why people say they want change, but find themselves falling back into the same patterns over and over again. The subconscious doesn't learn through logic or reasoning. It learns through repetition, imagery, and emotional experiences. It is shaped by what you feel the most, what you see in your mind's eye consistently, and what you say to yourself repeatedly. That means if you want to shift your external reality, you must start by communicating directly with your subconscious in its own language. Visualization, affirmation, and elevated emotional states are some of the most effective tools to create new imprints in the subconscious. When you begin to rehearse your desired future every day, when you speak as though it's already happening and feel the emotions of having it, you are sending powerful signals to your subconscious that this is the new reality over time. The subconscious begins to accept this new information as truth, especially when it is delivered consistently and with emotion. Your body starts to align with this new state, and your behaviors shift to match your internal programming. You are no longer living from the past. You are creating from the future. And as the subconscious mind begins to operate from this elevated space, it draws experiences, people, and opportunities into your life that match the new blueprint. This isn't magic, it's biology. You are changing your frequency, and your reality is responding. Mastering the subconscious means you are no longer a prisoner of old stories, but a conscious architect of your new life. Deliberately shaping your world from the inside out. Emotion is the catalyst for change because it is the language of the body. While thoughts are the language of the mind, emotion is what gives those thoughts power, what embeds them into the subconscious, and what communicates with the nervous system on a deep biological level. You can think positive thoughts all day long, but if they are not accompanied by a matching elevated emotion, gratitude, joy, love, inspiration, then those thoughts are just surface noise. The body doesn't respond to what you think. It responds to what you feel. And the stronger the emotion, the greater the impression it makes on your physiology. Most people spend their lives repeating emotions of the past. They wake up and unconsciously tap back into stress, worry, guilt, or fear, emotions tied to old experiences. Over time, these feelings become familiar, even addictive, and the body begins to expect them each day. This is how the past becomes the lens through which the future is projected. If you want to create a new future, you must teach your body how that future feels before it happens. That means generating elevated emotions in the present moment, independent of your current circumstances. When you begin to pair new thoughts with powerful elevated emotions, your body starts to believe that the future you're imagining is already happening. This isn't about pretending. It's about signaling your biology to shift into a new state of being. You move from thinking to feeling to becoming. And the longer you stay in that elevated state, the more your body memorizes it until it becomes your new emotional baseline. This is how you break the addiction to the familiar past and step into a new identity anchored in the energy of your desired future emotion. Is the energy that magnetizes your intentions into your field. It amplifies your frequency and opens you up to synchronicities and new possibilities. When you consistently live in elevated emotional states, you change your chemistry, your mindset, your behavior, and your entire energetic signature. And over time, the external begins to mirror the internal, and life begins to reorganize around who you've become. On the inside, belief is the foundation upon which all change is built. What you believe to be true about yourself, about the world, and about what's possible becomes the invisible architecture of your life. Your beliefs act as filters for your perception, guiding your thoughts, your decisions, and your actions. If you believe deep down that you are not enough, that success is hard, or that change is out of reach, then every opportunity that presents itself will be interpreted through the lens of that limitation. And no matter how much you consciously want to evolve, your subconscious belief will act like a ceiling, keeping you in the same patterns. The mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When a belief is paired with enough repetition and emotional intensity, it becomes accepted as truth. This is how limiting beliefs are formed and how empowering ones can be created. To shift your life, you must first examine your current beliefs and ask yourself if they are aligned with the future you want to experience. If they are not, they must be consciously replaced. This is not about wishful thinking or blind optimism. It is about strategically rewiring the subconscious to support your vision. Creating a new belief begins with thought, but it becomes solidified through feeling and experience. When you begin to think like the future version of yourself and feel the emotions that future you would feel, you are no longer living from the belief systems of the past. You are teaching your body and brain to fire and wire in new ways. And the more often you show up in thought, emotion, and behavior that align with the new belief, the faster your brain reorganizes itself to reflect this new truth eventually. What once felt unfamiliar becomes your new normal. Your belief system evolves, and with it, your entire experience of reality begins to change. You're no longer reacting from the story of who you used to be. You're responding from the energy of who you're becoming. And when belief and behavior are in alignment, transformation becomes not just possible but inevitable. Visualization is the rehearsal of your future before it becomes your reality. The brain does not know the difference between an actual event and one that is vividly imagined with intention and emotion. When you visualize with clarity and feeling, you are activating the same neural networks as if the experience were happening in real life. You are training your brain and body to believe in a future that has not yet occurred, priming them to expect and recognize that reality when it begins to unfold. Most people use visualization unconsciously, often imagining worst-case scenarios or rehearsing failure and fear. These mental movies become the blueprint for repeated outcomes because the mind is always projecting its dominant focus into the field of possibility. But when you become intentional with what you visualize, you reclaim your power as a creator. You begin to tell your brain a new story, and if you do it long enough, with enough emotional engagement, that story becomes more familiar than the one your past has written. To visualize effectively, you must move beyond mental imagery and step into the emotional frequency of your desired experience. It's not enough to see it, you must feel it. When you combine the mental picture of your future self with the emotions of gratitude, joy, freedom, or love, your brain and body begin to align with that energy. You are creating coherence between thought and feeling, between intention and state of being. And this coherence sends a signal into the quantum field that begins attracting matching experiences. The more consistently you visualize, the more fluent your brain becomes in this new possibility. Neural pathways strengthen, your subconscious starts to accept this version of reality, and your behaviors begin to shift to support it. You start taking actions aligned with your vision without force or struggle because your mind and body are already familiar with the experience. Visualization becomes the rehearsal for your evolution, training your nervous system to expect the extraordinary, to anticipate success, and to recognize opportunity when it arrives. It's a daily invitation to step into the frequency of the life you are choosing to create. Intention is the conscious decision to direct your energy, thoughts, and emotions toward a specific outcome. It is the internal signal that tells your brain and body where to go, what to focus on, and what to become. Without intention, energy is scattered, unfocused, reactive. But with clear intention, everything within you begins to organize around a singular purpose. Your mind becomes alert, your behavior becomes deliberate, and your emotions begin to match the vision you are holding. Intention is not just a goal. It is a vibrational command sent out into the field of possibility, telling the universe and your biology what to align with. When you wake up each morning and set a clear intention for who you want to be, how you want to feel, and what you want to create, you shift from living unconsciously to living by design. You begin to take back authorship of your life. Most people are pulled into the same routines and emotional patterns the moment they open their eyes, but intention disrupts that automatic loop. It inserts awareness into the equation. And awareness is what creates choice. With choice, you're no longer a slave to circumstance. You become a conscious creator. Intention also brings the future into the present. When you set a clear intention and pair it with elevated emotion, your body begins to experience the future now. This is the key to aligning with a new reality. You don't wait for something to happen to feel a certain way. You feel it first, and in doing so, you draw the experience to you. The clearer the intention, the stronger the signal. And when that signal is consistent, your nervous system begins to recognize it as familiar over time. Your outer world begins to reflect the clarity and frequency of your inner world. Opportunities show up. Not by chance, but as a response to the energetic signature you've been consistently broadcasting. Intention is the starting point of all transformation, the first step in bridging the gap between where you are and where you're going. It is both the anchor and the compass, rooting you in purpose and guiding you forward with precision. Awareness is the doorway to transformation. Until you become aware of the unconscious thoughts you think, the automatic emotions you feel, and the habitual behaviors you repeat, you will continue to recreate the same life over and over. Most people live in a loop, believing they are making choices, but in reality, they are simply responding to a conditioned past. Awareness breaks the loop. It is the light that reveals what has been hidden and the power that allows you to observe without judgment. The moment you become aware of the program running, you are no longer the program, you are the observer when you observe yourself throughout the day. How you react, where your attention goes, what triggers you, and what thoughts you return to. You begin to gather data about your internal world. This data is the map to your own transformation. Without awareness, change is impossible, because you can't change what you don't recognize. But once you see the thought, the belief, the emotional pattern for what it is, just a memorized response, you create the space for something new. That space is choice. And with choice comes freedom. Awareness brings the unconscious into the conscious. It's not about fixing or fighting who you've been, but rather noticing how that identity was created and gently deciding whether it still serves the future you are stepping into. When you witness your old self trying to re-emerge, the self that reacts, that doubts, that seeks validation, you no longer have to become it. You can pause, breathe, and choose again. That gap between the trigger and your reaction is where transformation lives. Daily awareness is a practice. It requires curiosity, presence, and a willingness to look within. But with time, your awareness becomes sharp, precise, and powerful. You catch yourself before falling into old loops. You redirect your thoughts before they spiral. You shift your energy before it collapses. And as you do, you begin to reclaim the power you once gave away to unconscious habits. Awareness, practiced consistently, becomes the internal compass that guides you back into alignment with your highest self. Again and again, no matter what the outside world presents, the concept of creating from the present moment is one of the most profound shifts you can make in your life. Most people spend their days thinking and acting based on what has already happened. replaying the past, worrying about the future, or reacting to circumstances. This creates a life that feels like a series of automatic responses, and the future remains a distant dream rather than something they are actively shaping. But what if you could start creating from the now? What if your present thoughts, emotions, and actions could be the very things that build your desired future? To create from the present moment means to consciously engage with your thoughts and emotions in such a way that they align with the future you want to experience, not the one you fear or the one that has already been. It requires a shift in your awareness, from thinking about the past or projecting into the future, to focusing on how you feel right now. Your feelings are the signal to the universe about what you are ready to attract. If you can align your thoughts and emotions in the present moment with the feelings of success, abundance, health, or love, you are energetically aligning with those experiences before they materialize in the physical world. This requires stepping outside of the limitations of time. Most people get stuck because they wait for external events to align with their internal state. They think, when I get that job, or when I have more money, or when I feel more confident, then I'll be happy. But true creation happens the other way around. You must first generate the internal state, the feeling, and the belief, and the external reality will begin to match it. When you create from the present, you stop waiting for conditions to change. You take full responsibility for your state and energy in the now, and by doing so, you begin to direct your future instead of reacting to it. The beauty of creating from the present is that you no longer have to feel like a passive participant in your own life. You actively choose how you show up in each moment, and with each choice, you're building a new future, one thought and one feeling at a time. As you consistently align with your desired future in the now, you start to see the world shift around you. Responding to the new energy you're embodying. The law of attraction is not about wishful thinking or simply hoping that things will fall into place. It is about understanding that you are a magnetic force, constantly emitting energy into the world through your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Everything you experience, whether you realize it or not, is a reflection of the energy you are broadcasting. This is why the law of attraction is so powerful. It is the universal principle that matches your internal state with external experiences. Your thoughts and emotions are the magnets, and the universe responds accordingly, bringing you people, circumstances, and events that are a match to the frequency you are emitting. But it's not enough to just think positive thoughts and hope for the best. The law of attraction operates on a deeper level, on the alignment between your thoughts, emotions, and actions. When you think about something you want, you send out an energy frequency that communicates your desire to the universe. But if your emotions don't match that frequency, if you're thinking about abundance but feeling fear or lack, you're not fully aligning with your desire. The universe responds to the coherence of your internal state, which means your feelings and beliefs must be in harmony with your thoughts. This alignment is crucial because the universe does not respond to surface-level wishes. It responds to the energy you are consistently putting out. If you want to attract love, success, or health, you must first embody those qualities within yourself. You must feel worthy of them, believe they are possible, and vibrate at a frequency that matches what you wish to draw into your life. When your internal world aligns with your external desires, the law of attraction begins to work for you, bringing the right people, opportunities, and experiences into your life. It's not magic. It's the natural result of living in harmony with the energy you wish to create. And as you consistently hold that frequency, your external world will shift to reflect the new energetic blueprint you've set in motion.